Hello, internet friends. I am Sixy, and today I wanted to talk to you about one of the toughest bosses in Dragonflight, Melidrussa Chillworn. It is a huge barrier to entry in the Ruby Life Pools dungeon, and in a recent key we ran an absolutely clinical boss fight. I want to show you what we did so that you can overcome this boss as well. If you find my guides helpful, please consider subscribing. We are very close to 1,000 subscribers. You can also join my Discord at discord.gg/6. I have a Patreon type thing, and for a few bucks, you can support the dream. Let's jump in. As a tank, one of the most important things I have to deal with on this fight is my cooldown management. Frigid Shards deals heavy amounts of frost damage, which means most mitigation cannot improve the damage this deals. In order to keep my cooldowns intact, let's talk a little bit about the trash that comes before it. Managing my cooldowns as a tank starts minutes before engaging the boss, and having teammates that are aware of the trash abilities can allow me to avoid overusing cooldowns to get through the trash. Most of the trash abilities are pretty simple, however there are a few interactions that can drastically improve the outcome of cooldown management. This big mob, called Primal Juggernaut right at the start of the instance, is the biggest culprit. There isn't a lot as a DPS you can do to fix this directly, except focusing your DPS on it. But healers, if you watch and pre-plan a big heal for Crushing Smash, this can prevent proccing my 8-minute cooldown cheat death. This mob also casts a circle on the ground, excavating blast that needs to be avoided. The most often reason I proc my cheat death is due to a psychological interaction in the first pull. A mob called Flash Front Earthshaper casts an ability called Tectonic Slam. It deals moderate AoE damage to the entire group. If the healer doesn't understand this ability, they will likely think, oh my god, I need to heal the whole group. The reality is that this ability is not cast very often, and the group will likely passively heal to full health before it is cast again. However, if the healer switches to AoE healing rather than focusing the tank, the next Crushing Slam from the Juggernaut could potentially kill the tank. DPS, you can help resolve this problem by simply stunning or CCing Tectonic Slam to keep your healer focused on the tank. Healers, if you're watching this and Tectonic Slam goes off, ignore the group. Focus healing the tank. This will greatly improve your outcomes on the first boss fight. There's a few extra trash abilities that deserve an honorable mention. Flashfront Chillweaver has an ability called Ice Shield that can be cast on the Juggernaut. The shield absorbs damage and makes it immune to CC. This can absolutely prolong the time spent killing the Juggernaut. Once the ability is kicked, the shield can be offensively dispelled to remove the shield, and should be if you have the ability to do so. Now let's talk explicitly about the boss. The first ability Melee will cast is called Hail Bombs. It deals a bit of unavoidable damage to the group and places a frost spiky thing on the ground. If anyone walks into the spiky, it will deal basically one-shot damage to anyone that hits it. The best way to deal with this ability is to stack really tightly and move together. However, a loose stack is acceptable as long as no one moves into the place that another player was at when the cast had finished. The next major ability Chillworn will cast is called Chill Storm. It will place this white circle on a player, and when the cast finishes, the player will place a bomb on the ground that's notated by a large pulsing white circle. It will pull all players towards the bomb, dealing ticking damage, and if you are within this smaller white circle, it will deal additional deadly frost damage. When the bomb fully finishes channeling, it will explode, dealing heavy damage to the entire group and pushing them away. If this bomb is kept close, healers will have to fight the suck in while simultaneously healing through the tick to keep everyone topped off before the final explosion. If you are unaware, suck mechanics like this do not cancel casting of abilities. However, physically moving your character to fight the suck in will not allow for the casting of abilities. So the best way to deal with this ability is to take the bomb a fair distance away from both the hail bombs and the healer. This will allow the healer to simply keep casting while being sucked in by the bomb without the risk of going into the deadly zone of the bomb. A bonus, this will also allow caster DPS to keep DPSing, subsequently lowering the overall time of the fight. Be careful not to be pushed into the clutches of eggs in the pools around the area. These will hatch if any player or enemy steps on them, spawning one infused whelp for each egg that was hatched. These cast Cold Claws relatively frequently on their main aggro target, leading to a large amount of unnecessary frost damage and a potential stun if it is not dispelled. Which brings us to the next major ability Mel will cast, which is called Awaken Whelps. She will cast this twice throughout the encounter and will channel into one of the clutches around the room and summon a bunch of little Welplings. These Whelps also cast the Cold Claws ability, which can be interrupted, but if it isn't, will apply a debuff called Primal Chill that slows the aggro target for each application by 6%, and if it reaches 8 applications, the player will become frozen solid for 10 seconds, taking massive ticking damage. I've only been frozen solid once, and I don't believe it can be dispelled, and per Wellhud, it can also not be immune. Primal Chill, the stacking debuff, however, can be dispelled by magic dispels or anything that removes movement impairing effects like Vengeful Retreat. When Mel summons these adds, she also casts a 24-second ability called Frost Overload, which deals a massive amount of ticking damage every 2 seconds. The spell can be interrupted, however, you will first need to break through her shield called Ice Bulwark, which absorbs a bunch of damage in order to interrupt it. This creates a separate problem where people may think that you need to AoE kill the adds, but in fact, the fight remains a single target fight until you break through the shield. You interrupt Frost Overload, at which point you will want to finish cleaving off the adds. Healers, make sure at some point you dispel your tank so they do not reach 8 stacks and get stunned. Melidrussa will keep casting her ability cyclically until she is defeated, minus the summoning of Welplings after she has done that twice. Let's finally put it all together. When I pull the boss, I love to use this initial square to min-max space, then move around the room in a circular fashion. In this 18 key, my group did a great job of stacking. We left behind a very small, very deadly pool of spikies. However, this makes it much easier to avoid. Once Chillstorm has casted, my DPS does a great job of getting out. I would have loved to seen Chillstorm put a bit farther out, but this is good enough since we lived. My DPS also does not take the bomb towards the spiky, which keeps us from having to worry about that additional interaction. When the adds are spawned, we let them come all the way to us, continuing to DPS Melidrussa. Then we start cleaving the adds once I've established aggro, and we break through the shield to interrupt. We continue moving circularly around the room, avoiding hail bombs, before repeating the Frost Overload mechanic, and then we walk it on home. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please consider dropping it a like, and I'll see you out there in those keys. Peace.